Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on into the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. I am the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. There are some days where a thought comes up into my consciousness as I awaken in the morning. And recently, another one of those thoughts came up. I remember, and this is more than 50 years ago. Where this thought came, I don't know. How it came and why it came on that day, I don't know. But it did. But these thoughts have a lesson. The thought that came into my mind was picturing looking out of my very small bedroom window in our very small apartment at houses that were facing my apartment building when I was growing up. And I remember one of the stars of the high school basketball team. He was a very tall guy, about 6'4", 6'5", somewhere in there. I still remember. That was big for those days. And he was entertaining, I guess you'll say is the right word, his girlfriend. And I saw her because I recognized her from high school. She was very attractive, as you would expect. And they were kind of fooling around, playing around, horsing around. And I'm thinking, my God, that has been more than 50 years ago. What the hell happened? Where in the hell did those years go? They just vanished. It is very hard. It is very hard for me and probably other people to deal with and to wonder what happened to all those years. And I could tell you, and my thought, which is that this time just flies by, it flew by. But I've also read into that statement. I and other people who will say, man, I can't believe the month of February is almost gone, the year is almost gone. These kinds of comments are the comments that people who are dissatisfied with the direction of their lives make. People who are satisfied, who have a lot of money, who have a lot of friends, who have nice children, whatever, they don't say that. It's the people who are dissatisfied with the way that their lives have turned out. Now, you may want to argue with me about that, but I have seen this happen firsthand, and I see this pattern. It's the people who are dissatisfied with their lives and how it turned out that say these things like, my God, time flies. And yes, it does. And this flight of time, this inexorable, unyielding flight of time is the most vicious part of life, because it does go by very, very, very quickly, especially when you're looking back in retrospect. And I will tell you very clearly that I'm one of those people. I am dissatisfied with a lot of things that happened in my life, and I know where they came from. And if you've been following my videos, you know the whole story. I'm not going to repeat it at this time. I can't even comprehend. I can't even comprehend where this damn time went. And it's it can be very, very frightening and scary, because now you realize you don't have that much time left. I don't have that much time left. And if it flies like that, my grandfather told me years ago, he said, Blue Collar, you're going to see that when you get older, time is going to fly like you can't even believe. And man, was he right. And so this whole idea about this vicious, unyielding flight of time is something that we all have to acknowledge. So then the next question is, the logical question is, okay, blue collar, what do we do about it? Well, as in many situations, we can't redo the past. Remember, there is no redo. We can't go back and bring back that time. I made a joke one time about I'm working on a time machine to bring me back to those years so that I could redo them knowing what I know now. And a lot of people say that, but it's not going to happen. So what do? What is the answer to something that we cannot deal with about the passage of time? Question is, what did we learn? What have we learned, if anything, when we realize that our lives are slowly dissipating, that the sand in the top of the hourglass is gradually but constantly falling into the bottom chamber? We have to again think, what have I learned? What should I do with the remaining time left, knowing that it will fly by? I think the only answer is you can't dwell on it, because the more and more you dwell on it, the more depressed you're going to get, the more sorry for yourself you're going to get. It's not an answer. You have to say, okay, here is what I'm going to do with the remaining time that I have left, assuming that I have good health, at least for a number of years to come. And you write down all the things. It's almost like the bucket list. You're familiar, there was a movie called The Bucket List. There is a term called the bucket list. What do you want to do before you kick the bucket? Meaning, what do you want to do before you die? And if that's coming on like a runaway locomotive, you better get going. And you got to figure out, okay, what do I like to do? That's the first thing. You've got to write down, and you have to write it down. Just thinking about it is no good. You have to write it down. What do I enjoy doing? What do I want to do while I still can? While I still have the mental and physical capacity? What do I want to do? Now that is going to be different for everybody, and I can't tell you how you should answer that question. But you have to ask yourself the question and come up with an answer or answers as to what is the answer for you, given that time does move on and move on quite rapidly. Now, in my situation, I have, with no question about it, I have more mileage, if you want to use that word, on the runway behind me than what's in front of me. It's just the way it is. And if that's enough to make me and to make you get on the ball and come up with some answers, then that's what it's going to have to take. You might have to be a little bit afraid to realize what's happening, how your life is just vanishing like smoke. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to answer the question. You've got to come to grips with it. You can't run away from it. You've got to come up with some answers as to what it is that you want to do with the rest of your life. It could be volunteering. It could be a hobby. It could be another job. It could be anything and everything. But it must satisfy. There's no point in doing something that doesn't satisfy you, that you don't enjoy. You have to do something. It's a must in this answer, in these answers. You must enjoy, not just come up with some things that do, not just do something that you just pick it out of the air. No, it has to be something that you enjoy doing, or else why even bother doing it? So that's what I'm trying to tell you. This passage of time is a vicious process that will rip you to pieces if you don't watch out. And as I said, we can't go back and change what's been done, but we sure as hell can learn from what has been done or not done, and use that to goad us on to do the things, to realize the ephemeral nature of life, and to realize this, and then to go on and find out what we need to do and want to do to satisfy our wants and needs in life. We don't have the time to waste anymore. There's no more time for that. We've got to do it, and we've got to do it now, and we've got to put it into action. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you to drink, and drink abundantly from the fountain of life. See you next time!